It's all about the macro productions.
What does the goddamn line say, Tony?
Please do not use gendered language.
Then what? I'll be arrested, put in airport jail?
Look, you're going completely sideways, man.
It's a big club, and you ain't in it.
How dare you?
Mr. Speaker, the President of the United States.
I'm Chris Hansen with Dave on NBC.
Jack Marius Tack Theratrix.
Hi, I'm Spartacus.
Jackson, Sacramento, he, him. Steven Seagal.
Sex offender guy.
I'm Keith Morris.
This is Muammar Gaddafi.
I'm Rick James, bitch.
Sorting through the lies.
The hijacker's passport was found blocks from the World Trade Center crash site, if you can believe that.
We cannot track $2.3 trillion in transactions.
And uncovering the centuries-long plan for world domination.
Learning about Cuba, having some food.
Let's talk about Chinese people.
Have you ever been in a Turkish prison? Swangles in Fort Lauderdale?
I have said see.
Months with him for over, I don't know, somebody that is inside writing. And it's real. I had and point relevant that got to move and um it's just I start Hypocrazy ago is was for seller. But what we went on I control yeah or can't write and you it's the web they use. Old books from like a smile. Not par mess. It's like just seconds before you hit the funniest. He murdered. Get worms for her. Hey, her beach. Oh wait. On tan on. That means for the audio. Yeah. Cook. 2025. What? Train all of me. Talking white. I definitely I'm saying for it. If like hey, who's going here? Uh, feel they act training. Did and it annuity that's after I people you take fields. That's what they. Was about school. Let's talk there. Are dangerous. Need to play tap, but it's about the of on your net film the like you don't you know should be. So it's funny. Social media and it's like a react. Or deny that said that safe. Yeah, one of my been here and out. Ten and setting uh exam school through like very that I their history. Somebody part in the government sector. And compare how do you you're like I the you do you'll find all about uh there you're and the reason Russia because imagine that Trump's first term way Hey. On code. I can as well. Kamala Harris. Who is Democrat? Catch us for press started. Think their is that system people. Times. I was right. Of them, but it's happening. The second from a crime. Belt. this stuff of the is that well, I talk about the COVID is I mean what we own there. The others. Good flow dot not even if you component of hypocrisy. I list all the crazy shit that's in the Bible. I'm not a Bible guy, as you might have noticed, but and I'm not trying to shit on the Bible or anything like that. But let's be honest, there's some hypocritical things in there. There's like, be a good person, treat everyone well. Okay, these are great lessons, of course. But then there's some of the other stuff that isn't maybe suitable for children and things like that. So it's low-hanging fruit. It's easy to goof on the church. They deserve it. They're also responsible behind the state as one of the largest purveyors of mass murder in the history of the planet. So I'm making fun of religion because it deserves to be made fun of, because of all of the horrible things that it has done to humanity over the years. Find your own God. Be a good person. You don't need some magic book. You don't need some guy. I got news for you. The person standing at the front of the church who tells you that he is the only person that can speak to God, that is bullshit. Okay? That's what people who are trying to manipulate you tell you to get you to be a good little sheep. Oh, you can't talk to God. Only I can talk to God. Right? I'll tell him what you said. But you got to keep coming here. I'm going to be your only conduit to God. That's gaslighting. Major gaslighting. And it's been going on for a long, long time. And not to mention the overwhelming component of pedophilia that has infiltrated all the churches. This is not limited to the Catholic Church. I know they take a lot of heat for it, and rightly so. They paid out $4 billion to settle rape allegations over the years. That number is unbelievably low compared to where it should be. There's organized religion and pedophilia go hand in hand. Big hand and little hand. You know what I mean? Making deals with God, I get into that. Bullshit preachers with private jets, we get into that. Creflo Dollar. Listen, Creflo Dollar. Are you familiar with Pastor Creflo Dollar? Greatest name ever, by the way. He's congregation. And again, I'm not even hating on this. If you ask and they give it to you, that's on them, right? But he told his people that, presumably with a straight face, though I can't confirm this, that his Gulfstream 3 was too slow, that he needed a Gulfstream 6 to spread the message of the Lord supersonically. He said he needed to spread the message of the Lord at a supersonic speed. And that he needed $65 million to get this G6. And he's on the, if the Lord wants me to have a G6, the Lord will give me all this bullshit, right? Like he laid it on hard. And you know what happened in the end? He got his Gulfstream 6. He raised $65 million from those dumb fucks, and he bought himself another private jet because the Gulfstream 3 just wasn't doing it. That's why I say I'm not even hating. I'm not even hating. If you've got to rap that good, you can come out there and stand in front of a bunch of people and convince them that the imaginary man in the sky needs you to get a Gulfstream jet, and they're going to give you $65 million out of most of these people can't afford rent next year, or next month, but they want to give you some because they're good people and very, very foolish people. They're blinded by their religion and can't see reality. They can't see the grifter standing up in front of them for what he really is. I can't even hate on him. Pastor Creflo Dollar. Read the book. Religion of the State, one of the biggest religions out there, and one of the more dangerous ones too. And I also go through, there's something called the yearly government scare chart. And what I did is I went back to 2000. And every year since 2000, there's been one item that the government has weaponized and used to scare the hell out of the general public. Every year. And if you go through this list, I lay it out in bullet point format. You're going to look at it and you're going to go, oh yeah, I remember. Oh my God, I remember that. Yes, SARS, bird flu, boom, 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 COVID. You know, every single year there's one. and you'll be blown away when you see it. So that's something. Let's move on to business. Business. We talk about monopoly money. Fiat currency. Fiat is fake. It's the head of the snake. Talk about central banks and debt as a weapon. Debt as a weapon. This is a concept that I will never stop talking about. And it's funny because it really opened my eyes up to the actual world in which we live in once I read Confessions of an Economic Hitman by John Perkins. And he was talking about debt as a weapon. And I understood it where, the loan shark who you had a bad couple weeks betting on the horses, right? And then this guy shows up and he wants to extract some money from you because you owe him a bunch of money. You fall behind in your payments. I understand that as a concept. What I didn't really know was that happened on a governmental level, and that the loan sharks were the IMF and the World Bank, and that the guy who's bad at betting on the ponies is Ecuador. You know what I mean? And that they when you borrow money from places like the IMF and World Bank, you're a slave to them for a long, long time. So one of the components of El Salvador's Bitcoin holdings that has been talked about recently as it's passed, as the price of Bitcoin has exceeded 100,000, they talk about how they're almost at the point, or I think they just crossed the point where they now could pay off the debt to the IMF and World Bank. And what that would mean if they did that it would mean that they were free from everything. Not that it would be a good idea to sell your Bitcoin at this point just to pay the IMF and World Bank. That would be a catastrophe. But it's interesting to note that even the people on CNBC are talking about things like that, which is interesting to me. We get into poisonous food. We talk about Monsanto and the federal government's revolving door between these regulatory agencies and big agri, big pharma, and groups like that, where the head of the FDA goes and takes a job with Pfizer, or the head of the CDC goes and takes a job with Merck or wherever, and how this General Mills, the guy who runs the Department of Agriculture, goes and takes a job at General Foods, and this is how it works. This is the reality of the world in which we live in. And it doesn't mean that it's right, but it does mean that we have to talk about it. Lastly, we wrap up with solutions in the book, I think. And again, I'm not giving you all the details of the book. It's still really worth your while to check it out. If you like the audio format for it, consider that. It's 10 and a half hours, you get your money's worth. But in the solutions side, we start with number one, solutions. Start hanging some of the bankers, as George Carlin said. It's true. I mean, George Carlin said it, and he wasn't wrong. I'm not advocating for murdering. I'm just saying that if there were a situation in which a bunch of bankers got hanged, that would most definitely send the message to everybody else that the people were tired of playing around with them. We list Zuby. If you're familiar with who Zuby is, Zuby's list of 20 things he noticed about society. It's a really interesting list. I put the entire list in there. I think people will be fascinated to read that at the tail end of the book. We talk about the Nuremberg Code revisited. We need trials. We need trials for these people. The idea that they're going to try and run some sort of new scam, some sort of like, oh, there's radiation leaks, another invisible enemy like COVID or terrorists or whatever. They're going to keep doing this because you didn't hang them the last time, right? You understand this is going to keep going because there's no repercussions for these people over the years. So there has to be trials. And when found guilty, in which they will be, they should be treated as traitors and hanged. I mean, that's what's called for in the law. I'm not advocating for mass murder. I'm advocating for people to be tried for their crimes, and then I mean, I hate the idea of the state being involved in hanging people. I'd much rather they be found guilty and then turned out to the general public and let the public do it, because the public is the one that was harmed by all these people. A reminder in here, do not comply with unjust laws. Just don't do it. They can't make you. we have power in non-compliance. You watched it with the masks in the grocery store when you didn't wear a mask and you walked in there, raw dog in the air, as Taylor Lorenz would describe it. And you walked around like a boss without a mask. You got dirty looks from the old ladies, and then there was always one or two people that saw you and pulled their mask down. That's contagious. It's hilarious to consider it like bravery. Like, you were so brave, and there's no bravery in pulling your mask down. But it is a sign that you are unwilling to participate. And I think that a lot of people just never even, it crosses their minds that you could opt out of this insanity. You just go along to get along and do what you're told because you've been conditioned to do that, probably from the government schools that you went through. I remind people to network with like-minded people, very important, and also to get your money out of the banks. We know what we see. We look around and we see the banking system is a catastrophe. It's a house of cards. It's ready to come down. You sit around waiting for the mainstream media to tell you to reevaluate the relationship you have with your bank, and you'll be waiting forever. It's never going to happen. You're going to have to hear it from some lunatic like me over and over again before you go, maybe I should get some of my money out of there. Maybe I should just not be burdening myself with all this fiat. Maybe I should turn it into silver or gold or Bitcoin or get it out of the banks and just keep it in cash in my, under my bed or wherever. Whatever it is in your world that will get you just one step closer to being out of the banking system, do it. Do it now while you still can. You'll regret it if you don't. Turn off the TV and the blue screens that are located in these devices. There's more science going on in there than we know. Have a plan. Have a plan and local help. As the great Terrence McKenna says, if you don't have a plan, then you become part of somebody else's plan. And I just don't want to be a part of I don't want to be a part of the state's plan. I don't agree with them. I don't identify with them. They don't want what I want. So have a plan and make some friends locally and know what you're going to do if things get real. I also remind people that everything you say on the phone or send via email is being monitored and archived, and have a private and secure option if you can. Grateful to have Above Phone. Grateful to have Above Phone on as a sponsor of this show. It's a private communication device. There's never been a better time to have one. You're going to need it, and it probably behooves you to get on board with this sooner rather than later. Next time you're thinking of upgrading your phone, consider an Above Phone if you're interested, and you can use Macro to save some money on that. You open it up. They're fascinating. So they've done a really good job with their phones. So, but again, I wrap up solutions just by telling people to be proactive and not react. Same thing I've been talking about on this show. I think you'll like the book. If you don't have it, get it. It's a good one. It'll last you a while. It's still relevant. The audiobook, like I said, is 10.5 hours long. Darren Grimes narrates it. I've got new cover art from the great Jack Merkel over at Merkel Media. Check that out. The last 4 years have validated this book. It's true. Going back and looking through it again, I just laugh. I know what I see, and so do you. Hey, if you like this episode, you can take the additional step right now of sharing it with your friends and family. Go to Activist Post and Natural Blaze and get your news there. Thanks, everybody. I'll talk to you again soon.